Welcome to the lecture over vascular and non-vascular plants, and also we're going to talk about plant tissues today. So there are two main categories of plants that we call non-vascular, which do not have vascular tissue, so they cannot retain water or deliver it to other parts of their body. And then there's vascular tissues, or types of plants that have vascular tissue that conducts the water and materials throughout the plant. So we're going to try to guess which ones of these plants are vascular, that have vascular tissue to transport, and non-vascular. So looking at this first one, do you think this one is vascular or non-vascular? This one is considered non-vascular because it does not have those structures. What about this one? Vascular or non-vascular? This one is considered vascular because you need those structures in order to get water up to the leaves of the plant. What about this one? These ones are considered vascular as well. If you were to place them in colored water, you could actually see the water moving up to the petals of the leaves, because they have that vascular tissue to bring them up to those petals. What about this one? This one is considered non-vascular. They do have little shoots here, but they don't have vascular tissue. They end up getting the water up to these leaf-like structures through osmosis. What about this one? This one is vascular. It has vascular tissue. This one is considered non-vascular. Once again, while they do have these shoots, they end up transporting water through osmosis up those shoots. So today we're going to look at different non-vascular and vascular plants. The non-vascular plants we call bryophytes, and then the vascular plants are plants like ferns, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. These are the four types of plants that you're going to need to know in this unit. But today we're going to focus on bryophytes, and we're going to focus on these three later. So those non-vascular plants are called bryophytes. Examples of bryophytes are mosses, liverworts, and hornworts. They look like this. These are hornworts, these are liverworts, and these are mosses. They do not have vascular tissue, so they do not have tissues that physically transport water in the plant. The water is going to move strictly by osmosis. Because they don't have these, they're also low growing to the ground so that they can take in water and use osmosis to get it to all parts of the plant. Bryophytes can reproduce sexually or asexually. For the sexual reproduction, the sperm must swim to reach the egg, while the asexual reproduction, they reproduce by releasing spores. Regeneration or budding. Budding is when a portion of the plant ends up popping off, and then that portion of the plant can regrow into a new plant. Water is required for reproduction for them. And then just the cups here on the liverwort is like a portion that can pop off to create a new plant through budding. Now we're going to look at some general plant tissues. We're going to look first at vascular tissue. This is what's used for transport throughout the plant. Once again, those bryophytes do not have this vascular tissue, but those other three types of plants do. And this vascular tissue looks different at different cross sections of the plant. So the root has a really thick vascular tissue down here. The stem will have little vascular tissues on the outer rim, and then the leaf you can see vascular tissue as well. Now there's different types of vascular tissue. First we're going to look at xylem. These are cells in the tubes that transport water and minerals in the plant. Typically they're transporting the water and minerals upwards to the plant to get it from the roots to the leaves. And then here is another picture of that xylem, transporting the water and the minerals up the plant to get to the upper portions of the plant. And then the second one is the phloem. These are tubes that transport food and glucose. throughout the plant. They can transport it up or downward, depending on where the glucose needs to go. Once again, the phloem are tubes that transport the food. So here's just another diagram. The xylem is taking the minerals and water and transporting it up, and then the phloem is going to transport sugars from the leaves, right, because that's where the glucose is made from photosynthesis, and it's going to transport it to other parts of the plant, going all the way down to the roots if it needs to, or to the stem. There are other types of tissue as well. The dermal tissue is the outer layer of tissue on plants, which is similar to the outer layer of your skin, also known as the epidermis. Then there is ground tissue, which is the majority of the plant that just has a ton of storage and also contains a lot of chloroplasts for photosynthesis. And then the meristematic tissue is where the plant growth occurs by mitosis, which is usually found at the roots. We'll look at some general plant organs. So these were tissues, which is smaller than organs. Those tissues can then make up organs of the plant. So one organ for a plant is roots, which are the main absorption location for the plant to absorb water and minerals. Another organ is leaves, which is what mainly goes through photosynthesis in order to give the plant sugar. It creates its own sugar and food. The stems is another organ that gives support and also the transport with that vascular tissue to the other parts of the plant. And then there's also the veins, which is the xylem and the phloem in the plant, that is also seen as an organ. We've already looked at the roots just a little bit. It's just a reminder that they are organs. The root hairs are those little hairs off the roots that increase the surface area for absorption. Then there's also the root cap, which is at the end of those root tips to cover it and protect it while it's growing. And then the meristem is the area just behind the root tip that the mitosis is occurring to continue to grow the roots in that plant. And just a recall of the two types of root: taproot, which has the main center root here, and then the fibrous roots. And leaves, once again, is another organ. This is where photosynthesis and gas exchange occurs. This is the cross-section of the leaf, so the leaf would be considered the organ, and then these cells would be considered the tissue. You should be able to label the leaf if I were to give you a cross-section.